Welcome back. It's another beautiful morning. And we did tell you that in the course of this week, especially today, we're hitting the campaign trail. It's exactly 14 days to election 2020. So what have the political parties been up to? This morning, it's a one-on-one discussion with our special guest, one-time running mate, this time Flagbearer for the PPP, the Progressive People's Party. Let's say a very good morning and welcome to Bridget Dzogbenuku.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Good to be here, and good morning to your viewers.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, we're in the campaign season, and we've heard a whole lot about the political parties. They're crisscrossing the country. What has the PPP been up to, let's say, before the cessation to campaign activities, before the sad demise of our former president? What had the PPP been up to?
We've also been traveling a bit. We've been doing a lot of media campaigns. We've been on social media a lot. We're a young party. We believe that a lot of our constituents are online. So we've done a lot of that. But we've traveled as well. We've been to, as soon as I was announced as flag bearer, we went to my hometown, which is in the Afadjato South District, the very traditional area, to greet the chiefs and people there, which stands to order. We've been to Akimoda, we've been to constituencies where we know we have a lot of our supporters, like Obom Domiabra, Amasama. We've been to Elmina and back. We were actually in Elmina. We had plans for activities. And then, of course, Flight Lieutenant J.J. Rawlings passed away, so we put a stop on our activities. So we're going back there. I'm actually in party colors because we're on our way back there this morning.
You're hitting the trail there again?
Yes, because we didn't quite take off. When we went to Takrady. Yes, of course, I almost left that out. We went to the Western region to interact with our supporters there. And it was whilst there that the news came through. So we returned and rescheduled for this week for Elmina. We have a big event there, or big events between today and tomorrow.
That's in Takrady?
No, in Elmina.
Okay, in Elmina. Sure.
And then we will be going to somewhere in the central region as well. Gomua West. We'll be going to Gomua West later tomorrow. So we're on the move, and then we'll be in Kumasi and its environs later in the week. So we've been on the move.
So you are on the move. You're covering, areas to ensure that you can mop up as many votes as possible. One problem that has resonated, or at least crossed, cut across the smaller parties, if I may put it that way, apart from the NDC and the NPP, the other parties, has been logistics, has been human resource constraints and all of that. Is the PPP experiencing same? Because that impacts your ability to crisscross the country as much as you would want to.
Logistics, yes. Human resource, no. I think that there are several dedicated people to the party in the various regions, and we have growing supporters because there's a wave of change blowing through. But yes, logistics, yes. Financial constraints, yes. We are a small party. We don't have as many resources as the other two parties have. But we are making do with the little that we have. And it's media like yours that help promote us as well. And of course, social media, which resources is not as expensive. So that is what we are dependent on. But yes, it's difficult times. I mean, it doesn't help that many businesses are not working for many reasons, including COVID. So, yeah, it's difficult times.
How much more ground? I mean, we have 2 weeks left. How much more ground do you foresee that you'll be able to cover as a party before December?
A lot. We have a schedule. We're heading up north from Kumasi, Brongahafo.
Okay.
We're heading up north and coming down.
Are you going to cover the entire northern belt, or are you going to specifically, target some areas?
Well, we will try to make a stop as we go along, but we have certain specific areas that we have a large number of supporters, and we would like to at least see them and let them know that we are still here. They know, but it's always good to call on them and still encourage them and ginger them up for 7th December.
Right.
So we will be going all through, but we have specific areas that we have activities, activities that we will come into contact with our supporters. Some of them will just be whistle stops. Yeah.
Right. And speaking of those supporters and the other masses of Ghanaians that you would want to reach out to and maybe convince to vote for you come December the 7th, how have the people reacted to you on the campaign trail? What have the people been telling you?
Well, many things. One of them is the fact that we're tired of the two parties.
That duopoly.
It's not been different. We want something different. We want something new. So yes, we've been getting a lot of that. The women have welcomed me a lot. Happy to see another woman who's daring to do something different. So we get a lot from the women. We get a lot from the youth who say, you know what, these two parties don't concern us anymore. And we don't see, yes, because the two parties are steeped in old politics. They are steeped in things that happened post-independence or maybe even 1979. And you have voters who were born post-1979 who don't care about PNDC or don't care about UP or don't care about CPP. They are looking forward to their future. They want what is coming next, not what passed.
Right.
So they look at a younger, it's a younger political party than the other two, and they seem to think our hope is here. So we have a lot of followers there too. And yeah. So
tell us, what exactly has the message been? Obviously, you're carrying a message, policies and all of that, which are making the people, feel this is the option we should be going for come December the 7th. What is the thrust of your campaign? What are the salient policies that you've been celebrating?
It's multifaceted, but one of them is the fact that this is a new kind of leadership. So we are doing things completely differently. I think the main way that we're doing things differently is going back to revisit the fundamentals and changing them. So we've concentrated a lot on what is wrong with what is causing us to have this duopoly, what the reason why we have such a corruption-ridden government, whichever way, either party that's in power. The reason why the Ghanaian is so disempowered, because our political parties or our government in power has been given all the power to rule and not to govern.
Right.
So we need to go back to the fundamentals, which is our constitution. So we are very heavy on that message. It's almost as if we are NCC all over again, or we are doing a bit of that work.
You feel you're doing part of the work that the NCC should be doing?
I wish that the NCC would be better resourced to educate people.
Right.
And that is one thing the PPP will do when we're in government, to resource the NCC, because I think that what has been in the governments of the past have enjoyed for lack of a better word, the ignorance of the Ghanaian or the miseducation of the Ghanaian in matters of politics, or governance, so that the less they know, the more dedicated they are to either of them. Also, the issue of they not being empowered to empower. They are afraid to pursue their own. Ghanaians have been made to remain in fear to pursue their own dream of what they want Ghana to be. And now a typical example is the opportunity that was taken away from Ghanaians to vote for their own DCs, their own local leaders, like DCs and MMDCs.
Right.
So,
but you know the situation there. You know what culminated in that.
What culminated in that? It was certainly not the fault of the Ghanaian. It was the government's decision that because there was no consensus. How did we? But
isn't that the whole point? It's a leadership by the people, of the people, for the people. If you feel the people are not,
it's not a matter of feeling. You should have tested it and let us tell you that this is what we want or this is what we don't want. You, as the president, can decide that I feel that there's no consensus. It's not your feeling.
So that was a misstep on the part of this administration.
Indeed, we did not go through with it. People said it wasn't a matter of whether we were going to vote for our DCs or MMDCs or not. That wasn't the matter. The matter was whether we were going to vote for them on partisan lines or not. So the fact that we were going to vote should have remained. That was the vision. That was the objective. We were going to vote for our DCs and MMDCs.
Right.
But the Ghanaian was disenfranchised, was disempowered. The moment government felt that there was no consensus and therefore we are not going to do this anymore. That was our right taken away from us.
Right.
And we it's our right and it's our power. The people must be empowered. If the people are empowered to vote for and know who to vote for as president or as parliamentarian, then they should know what they want to vote for, even better at the local level.
Just to look at another angle of that, entire discussion. Some had said that, yes, maybe government had postured, felt that certain things would happen. And if it weren't going to culminate in that way, it would be egg on its face. But the other side would have been that, well, if we didn't go through that entire process, we would have saved something into the state's kitty. So
it's not about money, yeah? And I think that we make a lot of things about money, cash, saved. And disempowered people, which one do we want? It's also worth money. Whatever you are saving in the government's kitty, when you empower your people locally, so that they have a local leader who is accountable to them, and they can hold him accountable and stop the corrupt practice. Look, our local district level DCs and MMDCs are entitled to 5% of revenue.
Yeah.
Never has any DC gotten that amount of money. The greatest amount or the largest amount they've got is 2.5%.
Right.
What has happened to the other 2.5%? Nobody is answerable. Nobody tells us what happens to it, where that money goes. And if we were to hold these people accountable, then we would say, hey, what's happening to our district assembly common fund? What's happening to the money? We need this done here and that done there. We will even start to look into contracts that go to the district level to say, how much did we spend? How much is our district spend? We then are able to hold them accountable to the work they are doing for us.
Right.
Now, if you are saying it will save money, we lost more money by trying to save that money. So it shouldn't be about money.
In other words, was that an opportunity lost?
Yes, indeed, it was. And it was an opportunity denied to us Ghanaians. And we should start to see the power we wield as a people in our thumb to start with. We must start to demand that power due us as Ghanaians. So, if they are able to hold a DC accountable and no longer someone who has been thrust on them so that they can't complain, or if they do, this man isn't going to move anyway.
Right.
You'll start to see more development. Look, when you say, I actually thought you were going to ask about the fact that if it wasn't done along party lines, it wouldn't have gone right. It doesn't matter whether we did it along party lines or not. We are starting to find out that Ghanaians are starting to see work done by the person.
Regardless of which
party he's in. So I'm not going to keep my DCE when he can't construct my market or see to my clean market or my gutter or ensure the health facilities in or crime. There's heavy crime in our communities, and nobody is held accountable because the DC is appointed, the police chief there is appointed, and therefore the Ghanaian is completely disempowered. And that for us, that is what matters. We want the Ghanaian empowered, even through education. And that's another message we are sending out. We have free SHS. Yes, good. But what about those before SHS? What about from the kindergarten all the way through to the JHS 3? The
syllabi across board are being tackled, at least in this administration. We've seen
it's not just about syllabus. How many children do we have in school?
Kindergarten level as well.
Yes, but how many children do we have in school? Do we ensure that our children go to school? You know that education, like I said, I tend to do the work of the NCC, and I'm happy to do it. Josiah Nkrumah is my friend, so is Kathleen Addy. I know what a mammoth task they have without resources. We know that if every Ghanaian is educated to the point of SHS, that's a lot of strength, that is a lot of power, that is a lot of rich resource. And yet, we say we're giving free SHS. We are touting that. By the way, I found out recently that the government, I was going to say the White House, Jubilee House, had a budget or had spent about 1.5 billion for the operations within Jubilee House within 1 year. Yet, they are touting that...
You're talking CDs.
CDs.
Right.
They are touting, I believe so. They are touting that, whether it's CDs or dollars, they are touting 2 billion for free SHS over 3 years. And they are saying this is how much we spent. 1.5 billion compared to 2 billion. So
just on the Jubilee House, the figure you're mentioning, and then we're talking about a span of 3 years and education, and we're touting about 2.2 billion.
Yes. So we see that more could be spent to make it better. And we are saying for that amount that would be spent, let's put it into basic education.
With the PPP, now that we're talking education, even as far as the NCC is concerned and all of that, they have their work, cut out for them. But would the PPP do anything differently? What more would you do in terms of investing in education if people voted for you?
That's just what I was about to tell you. We believe in the free, compulsory, universal basic education.
F-cube.
Yes, not just F-cube. The compulsory part of it. The F-cube, they say, exists. I think the people are still paying for a few things there, here and there. But the compulsory part of it, people think, oh, that's a lot. We have 2.5 million children not in school. Every year at BEC level, we have about 100,000 children who are unable to make it into SHS, the free SHS. And all these are cut out. And then you offer free SHS. Why don't we start? We will start from the basics. We will start from KG, compulsory, all the way through to JHS, continuous, and then into SHS. And therefore, the basic education is, in fact, ends at the end of SHS.
Yes.
And it goes all the way through. And when we are saying that, we will invest in it. You see, people say, where is the money? I say, it is what is important to you. That's where you put your money. Ghanaians' education and empowerment is important to us. We don't want to leave Ghanaians behind and be lord and ruler over them. So complete schools, complete schools. And the plans are there. People say, oh, the National Planning Commission has plans that we don't follow. There are school buildings, complete school building plans that nobody has built. And we must build them, ensure that every Ghanaian child is engaged fully. NCC education should be in school. Sports education should be in school. The schools must be equipped. Look, I'll tell you one thing that also bothers me. Our children have been at home since March. Our children have been at home since March because of COVID. And we've kept them at home. And we are doing some TV, some kind of education on
Some schools have found, innovative ways of engaging them.
Some schools have found. Private schools have gone online. Yesterday, I was in my village, and I forgot to mention that. Yesterday, we went for a festival in my Paramount Chief's 80th birthday in a very traditional area. And I saw children with smartphones taking videos. So they know how to use these gadgets. And yet, we've left the education. We have something called the GIFEC Fund. All these electronic items we are surrounded by here, you paid something on them, which have gone into that fund, which could be used to enhance our digital education in Ghana. Nobody has talked about the GIFEC Fund. Children have been at home since March, and we are going to go to school in January. If the PPP is in power, we will put masts in every district.
Masts?
Yes.
That's quite an ambitious project. Masts are pretty expensive to
yes,
actually...
the GIFEC Fund has the funds.
Right.
The GIFEC fund has the funds.
How much do you know that is in this fund that you are? I pose that question because a lot of the time you hear politicians say, we'll do this, we have the money. I mean, this administration told us we have the money. Then maybe reality hits when they come through and you realize that maybe you didn't have that much.
Go and check. But the last time I spoke to someone, they were cited something about 800 million, and this was months ago.
Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Right.
But the funds are there. The GIFEC fund, we can all probe it and find it.
Right.
Because, yes, I understand that most of the fiber has been laid. We can't actually...
How much is one mast that you're going to launch? How much have you approximated that it will
I'm not
cost?
a technical person.
But without that know-how, how can you even project that you're going to be able to do it?
Let's go first into whether the funds exist or not. They do. If we are spending 1.5 billion in Jubilee House in a year, why can't we put up masks? Certainly, one mask doesn't cost 1 million.
Right.
Yes. So the money is there. It is what is priority for you. And indeed, we are finding out that our governments prioritize other things and then give the Ghanaian crumbs.
You feel, regardless of free SHS, and I'll be taking, on some of your thoughts on free SHS. You feel, regardless of what this administration has done, it's merely giving the crumbs to the people?
Of course, it's giving the crumbs to the people. If you can spend 2 billion over 3 years, and in 1 year you spend almost the same amount on, spend in Jubilee House, then it is crumbs.
Let's look at, you've proposed something as far as the PPP is concerned, from kindergarten all the way to, junior high at the tail end. But of course, like you rightly said, that basic, level of education, it sort of ends after SHS. Now, what is the plan of the PPP when it comes to free SHS? If people were to give you their vote, if you were to become president of Ghana, what would you add on? What would you change when it comes to free SHS? Some have spoken about the double track system, among others. What exactly are you going to do about free SHS to make it better?
I think that this government has concentrated only on access. Oh, we have all these children going to school. We are thinking about the quality of the education. That is why we are saying that it's complete schools. Free SHS, go and pass exams and go. And yes, I taught an SHS diploma. What is in it? How well educated are these people? How employable are they? What is the quality? Let's not lower standards and then say we've passed so many people. Let's ensure that the education is complete, as I said. Sports, discipline, civic education, character and behavior building, moral education. The quality of the education is important. It's not just passing through people through an assembly line and saying we have this number of people.
And you feel for now that is lacking?
That is it. And if you say, yeah, you built so many schools, what are the schools? You just put up these buildings. How is the digital education? How is the technical education? How are the arts? The quality of the education also matters, not just the numbers.
And what specifically are you going to do about that?
Well, like
to enhance the quality?
We said it. We said we are building complete schools, starting from the kindergarten level, with the equipment, the resources, and the training of the teachers to ensure that the children are taught properly and are educated, not just made to pass exams. And of course, when we say training of the teachers also, when we say complete schools, we are providing bungalows for teachers to stay. Empower the teacher as well. We, the PPP, are about empowering the Ghanaian to be able to work and be prosperous and be successful within their own right. Not deny them that power and then let them be at our mercy.
Is this training going to be continuous?
Indeed, it will be. Indeed, it will be. Not just teacher training. And you see, we lure teachers with this teacher training allowance, then again making it about just the money. You say, oh, teacher training, I will give teacher training allowance. The person goes, yes, they get the teacher training allowance whilst they are teachers or where they are training. And then when they graduate, we'll post them to Mu or to Laura. No accommodation, no transports. They have to struggle to find their own. Then they start to what's the word? They start stepping back from their work or from their duty. They don't show up in school. And of course, there's also the part of inspection, the National Inspectorate Board that inspects to ensure that schools are performing. They must also be made to work. And that is where our policy of ensuring, reforming the public sector comes in, where those who hold the positions and play the roles must be sure that they are doing their work well. We must ensure that they are being productive and they are showing results for the work they are doing and being paid for.
Right. We're going to veer away from your campaign shortly so we can also discourse on other matters. But I want to find out now, especially on the back of COVID-19, it's affected every country. No country is exempt. What is the PPP going to do to make better the economy of Ghana, especially as we battle COVID-19?
Yeah, it's still about empowering people. We need to provide jobs. We need to ensure that people have jobs where they are. And jobs are empowering so that they are not at the mercy of please give me 5 cedis, particularly in election times, you know. And I was thinking about it this morning. Like I told you, I was in my hometown over the weekend for a festival and also for the chief's 80th birthday. And we stayed in a guest house. It was a well-built guest house, beautiful rooms and all that. But what was obvious was the human resource to run that guest house. And Afadjato South District is rich in tourism. So apart from the attraction to the Lukusi Festival, which is a festival to celebrate the Ve people, there's natural resource. There's a Wuli Falls not far away. There's the Taffy Monkey Sanctuary that's not too far away. There's our food, which is good to go and eat, and on and on, all those mountains that you scale and all that. That by itself is job provision if you enhance on it, if you invest in it. So those are some of the jobs you look at. The local things, as someone said, the small, small things that are tangible. That guest house, if it had a well-trained accountant, a well-trained receptionist, well-trained housekeepers to take care of the house, that is job provision. And that is natural to the environment. And everywhere in Ghana, there is that kind of resource, either tourism or agric, where jobs could be provided if we were able to invest. And so for the PPP, that is where our concentration is. Make access to Ghana available to business. We drove along the Eastern Corridor Road.
Right.
They fixed a lot of parts. I go there often. I have business there. I go there often. They've fixed a few parts, but it's still a very bad road. You still can't go through Piki. This road was, construction started in 2011, and it's been left on and off. They do a bit, they leave it, they do a bit, they leave it. We pray that they finish it this time. All these roads, the Eastern Corridor Road, I believe is the N4. We have up to N18 of national roads. Some running north-south, south-north, and some running east-west. There are 18 of them. We have the N1, which is supposed to go from Aflao all the way to Elubo. The only dualized part is probably, it's dualized some ways, but it's not supposed to stop at Malam. It's supposed to go all the way through Malam, through Kaswa, through dualized, all the way through Takrady to Elubo. And we've left it. We haven't developed.
So that's something the PPP is going to continue?
Yes, it is something the PPP is going to do. We call them the interregional highways. We are going to dualize all these interregional highways, all the N roads up to N18, to open up the country to the kind of business I'm talking to you about. Most will be agri-based because agri employs about 31% of our employable resource. And it can only get bigger. So that is where we want to find the jobs for the people in our country, for the youth. But not just open up the country, also invest in the agri sector, also invest in machinery, equipment for the farmers to make their work a lot more dignified than these farming tools and implements we still give them on Farmers' Day. You know, give them machines that will make their work easier. And not only that, but also value addition.
Right.
I have my small business where I'm adding value to palm oil that women are producing in Afajotu South District, where I come from.
What exactly are you doing?
I'm packaging, branding, and putting it in the big markets in the city and internationally. And since you've asked me, my brand is called Vey Flavor. It's the best jomi in town. Produced by women, and you must see how empowered they are now. It's just a small thing. So there is room. I will need
so you're going to replicate this on a national scale,
yes.
And that is how you're going to create jobs.
I will need accountants, we'll need quality control people, we'll need people in the packaging industry, and all that. Those are the kind of jobs. It's a simple thing. If you really want your Ghanaian empowered, not at your mercy.
Per the PPP, you're going to focus on agriculture, among other things, tourism and the rest, to shore up the economy. Yeah. Are you missing Papa Kwesi Ndum? Is the PPP missing him?
No, well, yes, of course we'll miss him. He's our founder, and he was the presidential candidate until
I'm talking
now.
Of his impact, you know, rolling out the party.
He's still part of the party. He still has a voice. He's still...
Yes, but we've barely seen him on the campaign trail.
Yes, he's not here. He's not very well. I mean, it stands to order. But I'll tell you what the PPP has done. The PPP has easily segued into the next generation of leaders. So it's not just Dr. Papa Kwesi Ndum who is not being seen. I'm sure Nana Bruhammond, you haven't seen him. You haven't seen Ladina Ilanda. You haven't seen Mike Egan. All those people are aware that it's a matter of growth of the party. And the growth means that you must pass on and let the younger generation also come on board. And that is what they've done. And I believe that we, the younger generation, are also capable, and we've proved it. Myself, my vice presidential candidate, Kofi Asamoah-Siang, and indeed all the other members of the party have taken it up, and we are running with it.
Right.
Yes, so we miss him, yes, but we are still plodding on quite well.
We're going to take a little breather at this point in time. We'll be back to wrap up on this. Welcome back after that break. We did say it would be brief. We're still here discoursing with Bridget Dzogbenuku, Flagbearer of the PPP. Electoral matters more related to that. The EC has its, the voters list out, and that in itself has raised some questions. Some saying that some of the ballots already have thumbprints and all of that, a whole lot. What is your take on that development?
I like to think positive. Yes, we get frightened, possibly with past events, and there's a lot of suspicion of each other, and that may go back to the way the EC herself is appointed, and that is a long story we have to deal with. But right now, this is where we find ourselves, and let's first think positive. Secondly, if the EC, if there's any truth in it, we expect the EC to deal with it and dispel those
doubts.
Yes, it is up to the EC to dispel those suspicions. There's not much we can do about it. What we want is the peaceful elections and free and fair elections. So each of us, what we can do, we must do to ensure that the elections come off free and fair.
Right.
There's there's really not much we can do if indeed there are some printed ballots already. If they've been found, well and good. What can we do about them? Let's deal with them and get them out of the way. The list is out on the internet for everybody to see, and I know there's that argument.
Your party has got its copy, right? I mean, you've got the list.
Copy, yes, but the copy we were given was to be for audit purposes, I believe. Now there's those Google documents that's all over, and people are afraid that people's personal information have been
gone out, been exposed,
which is true. I would expect that the EC has a remedy to the use of that if it should happen. Security measures in place if it should happen that somebody is going to duplicate somebody else's card or is going to use it for the purposes. I would have done it differently. I don't think that it should be accessible to everybody on the internet as it were. But it has been done, and therefore they should look for the remedy to counter it almost immediately.
Our time is almost up, but I want you to take a minute, if you can, do that. The special prosecutor resigned in recent times. Some say it is a stab in the back when it comes to the fight against corruption. Your take?
I believe so too.
You feel?
So too, yes. And I wish that he had held on a little longer and probed the case that he was probing to come to a conclusion. But that being said, I think his action also with the letter and the exposure and everything also tells us that, you know, our government is not blameless. They have also been involved in some level of corruption. And we Ghanaians must feel that we deserve incorruptibility in our government, and we must demand that. Let's start to move away from the idea that everybody will be corrupt. I won't, the PPP won't. We are saying that we will have an incorruptible government, and we want to put in the measures. If you ensure that we had ensured that the special prosecutor's position, we call it the independent public prosecutor. If we had ensured that it was indeed truly independent, we would not have issues such as this. And we want to pursue that. We, the PPP, will put in measures to ensure that the government is incorruptible.
Bridget Dzogbenuku is Flagbearer of the Progressive People's Party. We thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we wish you the best as you continue campaigning.
Yes. I know I have your vote.
I shall vote come this year, this December 7th. You know, I was caught up a bit because I've not voted in quite a while, but this time I do pledge. You know, it's a bit about, you know how some people don't vote in protest. Yes, but this time I shall vote.
Vote for us in protest.
Sure.
Because the two you don't want.
This time I shall vote. So we're taking a bit of a breather. We're also going to actually let you know how people have been reacting to the Electoral Commission's list that it has put out amid all the claims about some strategizing to cheat. That'll be coming your way shortly.